You are listening to a Trip to India podcast, the podcast where women inspire women to dream big. In this episode, meet singer, poet, dancer, and all around performer Amira of Atlanta, also known as Drea. Miss Drea has a spoken word album called Prelude that is available on Apple Music. So please listen and stay tuned. I will include a snippet of one of her singles, Tipsy Gypsy. And there you go. You'll be able to find her there. So, is there anything else that I should know about just what you've been doing? Like anything you want others to know about your past, like accolades or accomplishments?
I would say definitely the spoken word album. That was my first baby.
Mm.
It took about 2-3 years for that just to get finished because it was a journey just trying to find the right producer and working with beat makers in their basements, and
Mm.
I worked at a dog groomer's shop and singing in a closet, like just random, really weird recording stories. So when I was finally able to find the right producer who actually flew me from Texas, I was in Texas at the time, to New York City, and he was able to invest in my first project. And he actually did a lot for me on my first experience as like an artist coming out.
That's
So,
interesting.
yeah,
That's like a whole quest.
yes, it was.
I'm
Um,
definitely getting into that. So we're gonna put that on pause
yes.
because before we get deep into the conversation, which I feel like is gonna be a really good one,
Okay.
I love to break the ice with the game, two truths and one lie. So we're gonna do three
Okay.
rounds of that. I'm gonna try to figure out a little bit, which is fun because most of the women that I've done this with, I have like a prior relationship with, so I know certain things. So the
Mhm.
fact that I'm starting from like a blank canvas, this is gonna be even
Yeah.
better. Okay. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, First truth, I wrestled in college. Second truth, I don't know how to twerk. Third truth, I am a classical pianist.
Well, you have the piano behind you.
Yes.
I believe you can twerk. So the lie is that you were a wrestler in college.
Yes, that is a lie. Now,
Talk
I
about context clues.
wasn't. I didn't know what to write. I was like, I don't even know. I'm not really good at like lying. Like for, I don't really. How do I say that? But one of my best friend and close friends in college were wrestlers.
They were girls?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Texas, that Tamara Mensa Stock is representing the U.S. at the Olympics. Yes,
Ooh, shout
she was
her
my
out.
roomie, and she has a twin sister, Tarkia, who was a close friend of mine, and all of the girls at my alumni at my college were wrestlers.
Where
So
did you
those were
go to
my.
school?
I went to Wayland Baptist University, a
Oh
theology college
yeah.
in Texas. Yeah,
I've heard of that.
yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah,
I hope
yeah.
that wasn't a part of like your other two truths and a lie.
Uh,
One of
Actually,
them.
I studied classical piano. I was a piano performance major at Wayland, so I was a classically
Mm.
trained pianist as well as my major piano performance. And really don't think I know how to twerk. It took me a long time to know how to twerk. I just know my back hurts when I do it. I don't know how girls do it all night long because I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be smooth. And I'm gonna do other things besides twerk. I'll twerk for a little bit, but it took me the longest time. Remember the girls at the club be like, okay, I'm gonna show you how
Yeah,
to twerk, and I
twerking
was
is for the 20 through 24 crowd. I feel like after you pass a certain age, it just don't move the same. At least
I
I feel
feel
like I don't twerk the same. I used to go crazy. I don't.
I I grew up very conservative, so I didn't know much of dance in that type of realm. So
Mm-hmm.
it was really out of my element. It took me a while to get kind of used to it. I started dancing in the clubs like at 26, 20, no, 25, 26. So I was a little later. I wasn't starting at
Mm-hmm.
like 18, 19, like some of the other
Mm-hmm.
like YouTuber stars started dancing at that young. I did it. And mine kind of happened because I had to. It wasn't by choice.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah,
so you
like
came,
it
you
was
came through.
it was a survival thing for me
Yeah, you
at the
came through
time.
with a different mindset.
Yeah.
So let's see a round two.
Yes.
What's your
Hmm?
second? What's your second? Two truths and a lie.
Oh, there's 3 rounds.
Look at
Oh,
her.
okay.
She
I can,
we'll settle for two if you don't have three.
okay. Let's see. My favorite color is blue. Let's see. I have studied in Vienna, Austria, and my mother was a professional singer and musician in the army band.
Hmm. Okay. So I'm gonna just tell you a little trick. I feel like everybody lies on the first one,
We
and
do.
then they tell the truth on the other
Yes, I do because I'll lose track.
two.
I'll lose track.
I've done like a couple of these so far, so it's so funny. So your favorite color is not blue. What's your favorite color?
Pink,
Pink.
baby pink. Yeah, like pastel, like Barbie, like my mouse type pink.
It's
Sailor Moon,
feminine.
anime pink. Yeah, very very girly. That or black.
Yeah.
So
Did your mom influence you? Like, did she inspire you to be in
yeah,
music
most
as well?
definitely. My mother, she was always performing and touring with the military band. And as a kid, we would go to the band hall and listen to her practice and rehearse. And one day she just said, play this. And I play the flute as well.
Mm-hmm.
So while she was practicing, I would just learn how to play the flute at the same time. And I play every now. I bring the flute to the club.
Yes.
Oh, like Hustlers, I bring the flute and I'll be playing. I'll play too
All
sometimes.
right, Lizzo.
I'm not as fluent in flutes as Lizzo is because I chose piano as my
Uh-huh.
primary. So it's more of a secondary instrument.
I love
And
strings.
yeah, she her doing that, and then my biological father was a singer, and he loved the piano, and he's probably the main reason why I still play the instrument because it
Mm-hmm.
was his favorite. But him and I don't talk anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, that's pretty much it with that influence. My mother's a huge influence. Lots of musical theater, jazz. I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music, so I'm missing a lot of R&B, hip hop, pop. I didn't know about that till I went to college. I
Wow.
didn't have the internet, computers, none of that till I went to college. So it was a culture shock for
Mm-hmm.
me when I turned 18. My parents were like, go, you got to figure it out. That's the last thing they said. They took the phone, the
Sheesh.
car away, and they just said, figure it out. And I'm still figuring it out. Still,
Yeah.
I think we all are. Everyone is, even our parents. I think at some point
Whew. And
we're
you
all
hit
just
the
trying
nail
to
on
figure
the
it out.
because I feel that way now. It's once you reach a certain age and you're able to like understand your parents a little bit on like why they operate the way they operate. It's just
Yeah,
really weird once you
yeah,
see them as individuals and not just parents anymore.
yeah, exactly.
That is like the
Yeah,
weirdest
you start to
transition.
stop resenting them and you forgive, and you're like, oh, it makes sense now. I'm like, oh, okay, mom, I see you.
Yeah, we're
You did
human.
the best that you could at that time. Like I'm doing the best that I can at this time. I mean, I don't have any kids or anything. I'm still single like a Pringle, but
Exactly.
it's there's a focus that I had to do in as far as like survival. And some girls dancing is fun, but for me,
It's the lifestyle. Yeah.
it's yeah. To me, it's a business, and it's helping me get to where I need to be. It's a stepping stone. Still is. Even though I
Mhm.
sometimes I enjoy it, sometimes I don't. There's some days I'm like, ugh, I can't wait to be in an office. I'm like, hell no, I don't want to be in an
We say
office.
that, and I'm not a
You say
dancer,
it,
but
I'm marketing.
I'm a server, so I understand that. We say that because stability just sounds so
Yeah, but stability is boring. I
sexy.
like the I like not knowing
I mean,
like
stability is
because
important, but
yeah, starting from the bottom. Now we're here. Like I love that song because you go in the club with $0 and you're like, yeah, I came out with this much, or you made your goal.
it's a
And
rush.
in general, it is. I still have a hustler's mentality. and it's constantly always going. Even when I'm not working, I'm still figuring out ways to look at where I can invest my money, how can I take another class or get another degree that will make me my pay a little bit higher in the long run when I'm like, because you can't dance forever.
Mm-mm.
Your body mentally, and mentally it is a dark place. People may not think so, but the club is very dark and on the spiritual level.
We're gonna
And I
talk
got
about that. Okay, 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 okay. So before we get into there,
okay.
I want to punch in what a trip to India is about, and then we're gonna go into it, and we're gonna go to a
Yes,
couple places. Okay,
yes.
so
I love
for those of you, if this is your first time listening to a Trip to India podcast, I just want you to understand that I created this so I can have a space where women can feel inspired and comfortable with exploring like any of their ideas. And I just want to hear real testimonies from creative women like yourself who are actively pursuing their dreams, dropping words of wisdom, and, just letting them know that if you can do it, they can do it too. And getting into the details that I believe that most people who get into this realm of, I don't know if it's entrepreneurship or just like encouraging people to like start their own businesses or dreams and careers, they leave out certain key elements. And I want to dive into those spaces. So, right before we cut off, I want to first get into your first album
okay.
because that seemed very, very interesting on how you took. I'm really interested in your mindset on what made you take the leap and trust someone to take you from Texas to New York, and knowing that New York is like you're like a fish in a huge pond in New York, but
Yeah.
like you took the risk. It's something about you taking the risk and the move to New York. I
It,
want to know what that was about.
okay. So it started off, I didn't have a social media growing up. So I didn't get a social media till even in college, I didn't have it till maybe I was 2024, 25. No, sorry. Where am I? We're not. That's like way further.
2024, 2020.
Before I didn't have no.
So
I
you
remember
were
because
20.
my boyfriend at the time broke up with me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get an Instagram now because I don't know what that is. So I got Instagram, and now I just barely learned what Snapchat is. So I'm like, yeah. Anyways, found this guy on Instagram, and I messaged him saying I would like to work with him. He was a winning, Grammy winning. He had all these accolades on his
Mhm.
like profile, and he worked with everyone. Like if you
Was he
went
like
to
a
his,
producer?
yeah, he was a producer. It was Robert L. Smith from Defy Recordings in New York City,
Hmm.
and he's been in the business for a long time. He was an older guy, but he's worked with everyone from like Whitney Houston. He has like all these stories of like all these big artists and stuff. And we just started messaging each other. He became sort of a mentor.
Hmm.
So I leaned on him a lot during there are some things that were happening to me while in Texas, my hometown, El Paso. Okay, yeah. I don't really like to claim that because they're so mean to me out there. They did
Oh,
not me. I had to go to New York for my music to be accepted or for me to be accepted. El Paso didn't really
so
sorry.
let's
They
talk
didn't
about that. So,
yeah.
like, what was that like? Because you sought him out. So, I want to know what made you make that move. Like, what made you decide, like, you know what, I'm taking my career seriously. Like, what made you realize, like, okay, I need to move different. This town isn't for me. I need to go somewhere where I'll be appreciated. What was that like? What space were you in?
That space, I was sexually assaulted in 2016. My mother kicked me out afterwards. She said I was a disgrace to the family. So from there, I had to move from El Paso to Lubbock, Texas, which is where my school was at, well, Plainview, in that area. And I was sleeping on a floor at a professor's house, and not a couch, a floor.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I was working also at a gas station, organizing peanuts. You know,
Mm-hmm.
trying to make a way. And I remember I was in dancing time. This was like later. I was just working at the gas station, playing the piano, practicing 6 to 8 hours a day, trying to learn this, whatever I had to learn at the time. And I was like, no, I need this. I want this album. I need this album because it was that Assault Tipsy Gypsy was the start of this album. And I wrote a lot, excuse me, I wrote a lot of poetry, and
Mm-hmm.
writing poetry helped me get through a lot of things. And it was that song that really made me, I was like, I need to get it out. I just wanted to get it out. I wanted to finish something because I didn't finish college. I failed. I failed in college. That's why I had to go back to Lubbock as well. I failed my senior recital, which is like an hour's worth of music, classical by yourself with no like
Mm-hmm.
from memory. And for some reason, I just couldn't. It just wasn't working. I would practice and practice and practice, and I would fail. I would go to the jury, fail. Go to my lesson, fail. I was just failing, 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 failing. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I maybe I just need to take a break. But we still kept in contact. He was there through all when all that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And one day he was like, you know what? And I was even driving from Lubbock, which is 6 hours, to El Paso, back and forth trying to record this album.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying, oh, I'm Pro Tool certified, but then they would send the files with no labels. Like there's a whole thing with producers and labeling that there's, as far as like professionalism, that was
Mm-hmm.
lacking. That's
Mm-hmm.
anywhere I experienced, even here in Atlanta,
Atlanta. Mm-hmm.
just a little bit. But I work with the best in New York City, so my standard is really high.
Mm-hmm. And you come from a music background, so
Yes,
you
and I'm
expect
used to
more.
deadlines. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so that was what it was. And he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna fly you to New York. And I was like, what? By this time, we've been friends for about a year, year and a half. Just
Mm-hmm.
messaging, talking on the phone, just being real. He was like literally like the uncle I never had type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the oldest of four kids, so I never had, and my mother was very strict on me, and I had to raise them, and I just never had anyone to guide me. No one, I never had any guidance. My mother was busy doing her music thing, and she got sick, and mom and dad just a whole bunch of drama, things
Life
like
was
that.
happening.
Life.
Life was happening. It really
So
feel
I
like you went through like the dark night of the soul, and then that's what made you like. And I asked that because that's a big move, and I felt like that's only somewhere. It's where like pressure make diamonds, if that makes sense. It felt
yes,
like I knew that it had to be something um, that forced you to do it. Like the universe, low key, like
it does.
edged
Even
you
when you're
there.
not even ready, it's still
Exactly. It felt like I don't want to say forced because it was organic, but exactly. You got to a place where you felt like it was this or that.
yeah. I think even on the day of my jury, the second time, I didn't show up because I knew I was going to fail. And then I flew to New York,
Mm.
and we finished recording the album. We did my first music video, which is of spoken word, more of like a small short film in Brooklyn, in a apartment in Brooklyn. And then I
Mm-hmm.
flew back. And at this time, that's when I was working like two hotel jobs, saving money, trying to get to. I was like, I'm gonna go. My sister's like, hey, she lived in Delaware, which is only 3 hours away from New York City.
Okay.
So I was saving money so I can fly, or so I can at least drive to New York and work with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I did. And it was funny, the journey to Delaware, my car breaks down in Nashville, of all places. It's just like I'm like, oh my God. But thank God that guy, that the producer guy, he had friends in Nashville. I got to stay at their place. So I
Yeah, I
got
would
to,
say Nashville has a good music scene as
it
well.
does. It was cool. And they had like a little studio, and the guy I knew was very networked, and he was able to, he even flew me from Texas to LA, or yeah, to LA, to the NAM show.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my first gig after the premiere of the album out there in Orange County. It was called Stories or something at this Orange. It was in Orange County. It was really really cool, but I regret, for some reason I have a lot of trust issues.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, I just felt like I couldn't trust him, so I stopped talking to him. And I regret that to this day because he did a lot for me, but I wasn't used to someone helping me, and I have nothing to give.
Girl, you're a preacher to the. quiet right now.
Like when
So
someone pays for my dinner, I'm like, hey, let me get the tip.
tip something.
I'm not a
You
gold
want to
digger.
reciprocate.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not a taker. I'm a giver. So when I wasn't able, if I'm not able to give,
Then
even
you
give you,
don't feel
I don't feel
worthy.
like I'm worthy of it. So
Girl, we're there.
some days I want to call them up and be like, you know what, I am so sorry
Do you think
that
it
I
was fear of success or like self sabotage in a way?
definitely it was. Oh yeah, because I was getting gigs at Rockwood Music Hall. I had a gig at the Jewish Art Museum with another friend of his, and it was for a really good, great cause. It's for the Immigration Coalition.
Mm.
There was like lots of politicians and artists from all over just there, and I didn't show up.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, you want I've learned some tough lessons.
But that's the stuff that I'm interested in, and that's the stuff that people need to hear. Because when people hear about artists and performers, they literally just see the stage
Success, right?
performance. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the output, not these moments where this is really a mental battle. Because it's you. The whole
Yeah.
thing is you. It's not a company, it's not a business, it's
Yeah.
not like a product. It
You don't
is
have
you.
any backing.
Yeah, it's you. You're selling yourself. So that comes with like a lot of like mental strife. So I need to know
Hmm.
throughout all of that, since you've learned your lesson or you're learning, I won't say learned, but you're learning and you
Yeah.
saw, what does confidence look like to you? Because that is also a confidence thing as well. Because
It is now. The confidence comes from trusting yourself.
mhm,
If you don't trust yourself, it's not going to work. When I'm
mhm,
on stage half naked or naked, man, I got to be the baddest bitch in that room, even though I
mhm,
may not feel it, but I got to believe it, even
mhm,
if it's just for 3 minutes for however long the song is.
mhm.
That moment, I got to make sure I got to capture everybody in that room. And actually, I found confidence in the strip club. I
Let's
found
talk about it.
confidence. I found confidence and drive and hustle in the strip club. So people want to talk bad about it and have a negative whatever. I'm educated. I have degrees and
Mhm.
I'm working there. I'm getting my second degree. But I learned a lot about business because the business of the strip club is very similar to it's entertainment to
Mhm.
but confidence comes from just trusting and you got to believe it even if it's fake. It has to be real within however many for that period. What's the interview you have? Or I'm confident I'm gonna like land this job. I'm gonna get into this program. The more you speak it, and I think it's also on a spiritual level as well. Like you have to manifest it. You have to
Yeah.
claim. You have to speak it loud. I'm gonna make three EPs this year. Excuse me. God, I had a donut earlier. Um, and it's happened. And also writing out your goals helps, and then scratching it off
Yes.
my monthly goals. That's also helps me confidence. It's also what I've learned. I now that I have another mentor here in Atlanta.
Mhm.
Atlanta's good to me. My mentor here in Atlanta, he's told me that you have to celebrate the small victories,
Mhm.
and it's those small victories that gives you a little bit of confidence every single time when you see it building and building and building and building and building, and you're just this whole like I came to Atlanta with nothing. My dad's like, fly over here. I was in Delaware,
Mhm.
and at that time I was in Philly. So I was doing gigs in New York, Philly, and Jersey, doing
Mhm.
work, and I was also in the clubs as well. And he's like,
Amen.
yeah, fly over. All you gotta do is watch the house. All you gotta do is go to school. You don't have to work. I'm like, yeah, Dad, you're gonna help me. Go, Dad. But then he moves from Germany, and he's like, you gotta leave.
Ah, yeah.
Oh man, all the money I'd saved, all that I had to put into a down payment for a lease here in
Mhm.
Atlanta, and then the quarantine happened.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, but the hustler mentality, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna survive this. I'm gonna be okay. A lot
Mhm.
of people lost their houses, lost their homes, lost a place to live, but there's some things you got to swallow your pride with. You had to do what you had to do. I mean, I
So
do
is
things
that
crazy.
what you feel like Because I don't really have like a negative connotation to dancers or the
To dance.
dancers world. I understand that like
That's
the
good.
club
That's nice.
is like you said, it is a dark place. But that's
Yes.
because of the things that we're indulging in the setting and
Yes.
the people too.
Yeah. It
But
depends.
there's
Yeah.
beauty in there as
Yes.
well. And do
Yes.
you
For
feel
sure.
like dancing has like trickled over into your overall performance, if that makes sense?
Yes.
Did that help
It
you?
has. Dance has helped bring out a lot of artistic expression and going in different crevices of my creative mind that I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know existed, which has also been a confidence booster as well. So I have my own way of how I record. When I book a session, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I have like it's more a little bit more private, but like I have a whole
Can we get into that? What's your method?
my method.
Like, what's your setting? What's your perfect studio sesh setting?
Perfect studio session. I like it when there's no one else there
By
because sometimes
yourself?
Atlanta can have the studio that I record at. They have rappers. Love them to death. I love rappers, but their music will be really, really loud, and sometimes it bleeds into like my session. And my
Mm-hmm.
music is more like soulful, quiet. It's mood music. So that's the only thing. But it has to have dim lighting,
Mm-hmm.
perfect session candles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I only want me and my producer. I don't want anyone else in there. I don't let another engineer. He's the guy I work with who's my mentor, my producer, my teacher. He does both. He's an engineer and a producer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, and he helps me get into character or bring out what I need to bring out for the track.
Is it
And
like
we
a
that's but it works.
is it like a spiritual experience as well?
For sure. For
Because
sure.
you're
Because in
like
those
pouring your
moments,
soul out.
yeah, you come out tired.
Mm.
You come out very tired. I know mentally I have to I'm like, I'm so tired, I gotta get it. But he's always able to pull it out, and he can hear it when it's you can hear when a singer when it's forced and when it's not, when it's organic, when it's not organic. You can hear all that even in some of the mainstream music. You can be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this person was not feeling it, but she had to do what she had to do because she's getting paid to do that. You can
Mm-hmm.
hear all of that. And so for my audience, when they do hear my new music, I want them to hear how honest it is.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's scary. I don't even want to put it out. This project's been done for like
What
a
do you
year.
what do you say to that? What do you say to because I know a lot of creatives have this issue as well. What do you say to that when you feel like you're just not ready to share it with the world? Like how do
It's
you overcome that?
I have no idea. A lot of it you just have to just
Or is it a
put it out.
timing thing? Or
It
just
is a
put it
time.
out?
It needs to feel for us. It's like a Jack Morpheus. Sorry, my pug. You have to know. Actually, you don't know. There's a timing. Like I have the artwork done. I had a music video, but I knew something with this guy, it wasn't going to work out. So I'm having to reshoot the video
Mm-hmm.
from the bottom on that. And I had a feeling, but I wanted to wait a little bit because for me, a lot of artists, I don't know if everyone works this way. As soon as they're done with a project, they put it out.
Mm-hmm.
Some, but me, I like to have at least three, four, five, six, seven, eight projects
Okay.
done. So when
Mm-hmm.
that's out, I'm still working on project 8, even
Yeah.
though that's one.
I'm really impressed and inspired by your work ethic. I have like two questions that I
Yes.
want to ask. I guess the first one is like, how many hours do you think is necessary for someone to who really thinks that they're serious about their craft to put in on a daily basis? If not daily, then like a weekly basis.
Okay, for sure, daily, whatever instrument your primary instrument is, if you're a vocalist, I think for vocal health, you should practice at least an hour to
Mm-hmm.
2 hours a day, but separate. For instrumentalist, I practice a minimum of 3 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
So an hour and a half for one session, hour and a half in the second session, just 2 sessions of practice.
No, that's
So
yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, so that's that. But you also have to think of the time you put in for writing. No matter what type of artist you are, you should write something, whether it's a word, a period, a paragraph, a couple lines. You have to write every single day.
So that's
That's what
big.
I
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I set time, excuse me, I set time aside and I'm old school. I have a thesaurus and a dictionary. You
Mm-hmm.
just open it up and sometimes just the words, the power of words and there's so many different meanings it has
Mm-hmm.
is is life changing for me. I'm like, okay, I gotta write this to the song. But it also helps if you have a really good system with like a producer
Mm-hmm.
and yourself, if you're a self producer, which I'm learning, like I'm taking audio engineering lessons. That's taken me some time. Oh God. Um, you could, but if you have someone to work with that's following up with you, like that's also helps. So I would say a minimum of 20 hours
A week or a day?
a week.
Okay. It's like, girl, we got
Yeah.
24.
Yeah. So a week. So say you do an hour of research. Say you want
Mm-hmm.
to do a project about constellations. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to go to Barnes and Noble or the local library and you're going to go check out some books and do some reading. So that way you're referencing it correctly.
You're immersing
An
yourself.
hour. Yeah, immerse yourself in whatever your concept is going to be for that song or that album or whatever. And then an hour of just practice, whether it's scales, technique, whatever it is in your
Mm-hmm.
voice. And the third one is an hour of listening. A lot of artists, singers, instrumentalists, you have to do at least an hour of listening. You got to study at least an album a week, put it on repeat. If you're a lyricist, study the lyrics. That's what I do. I study an album a week and I put it on repeat
Of
over and over. Now,
random artists.
any artist. It can be sometimes you do great. Like this week, my producer's having me listen to Stevie Wonder, all of
Mm-hmm.
his albums. So I'm listening to all of his albums, listening to his harmonic structure, his
Mm-hmm.
lyricism. I'm really nerdy, and I also don't have many
No,
friends.
I love that. Okay, so before I wrap it up, because I'm gonna wrap
Yes.
this up a little bit. Before I wrap it up, do you think that it is essential for artists to stick with one, like have your main producer, or is it better to just shop around if that makes sense? Do you like, you know how Drake has 40?
Ooh, I want to be like the political answer. No, you should have variety, but I believe having in one. That's like you have jack of all trades but master of none.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a girl who sings. Say a girl who sings really good at hooks, right? She can
Mm-hmm.
sing a hook, but then but she only sings a hook for I don't know JP.
Whoever her producer,
Yeah,
yeah.
whoever it was, but it'd be like she only sings hooks for him. But
Mm-hmm.
now that she's singing hooks for this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and now her value kind of lowers because
Mm,
she's working with everybody.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? That's why
yeah.
being exclusive to like one or maybe one or two, but to me, if it works with one guy, keep it because you guys know how it works. Because it's hard to find that type of
Chemistry.
chemistry. It's really hard to find, at least for me, because I'm not an easy artist to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not that I'm hard, but artistic wise, like I have a high level of artistry, and he's able to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not having to like, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. He does it right on spot every single time. And I've tried venturing out, but they don't do what he does. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to stick with him. And it's easier and and you're able to really, you just watch yourself grow.
Yeah.
But I do think every now and then it is healthy
To
to venture
give,
out
yeah.
every now and
That's
then.
true because y'all can stay in y'all
Now,
zone for a
it's
second.
like, it's like you have your favorite restaurant, right? That you go to
Mm-hmm.
You know what to expect. You know it's good. Sometimes they change the menu, but you always go back to your favorite meal.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then you're like, you want to venture out, but you always go back to home. So you got to have a home producer.
I like that. I like
Producer is
that.
home, but then you can go out. I don't
There's
know.
a
It's
couple
hard.
people that come to mind. No, I
Yeah,
think of like Missy and Timbaland, or Timbaland and Aaliyah, or Drake and 40, like I said, or
yeah.
it's like
When
a
you
couple
see,
duos where, yeah. So as I wrap it up, this is
yeah.
my last question, I promise.
Oh no, it's good. I like, and it's making me think. And I'm probably gonna call my mentor and be like, "Hey, so this happened. We yada yada yada." So
I
yeah, this will
hope
be
it like creates some inspiration for your next song. Call it India. No, I'm just playing, but
cool. I will.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So I always wanted to know. This is how I close every interview. It's my
Okay.
reflection moment.
Okay.
Take yourself back, knowing all that you know now, knowing all that you've been through.
Okay.
What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self after high school? Like
After high
fresh
school,
out going into life. What
I
advice
think.
would you give to you?
Okay, the first one would be, don't believe the first guy that says he loves you. He
Heard.
doesn't. Yes, I regret that to this day. Um, he's the only thing I would take back. Second one is trust your gut. You
Mm-hmm.
are right. You're always right because you avoid a lot of pain, a lot of uncomfortable situations.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things would have been avoided if you would just listen to yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
that's confidence. It comes down to confidence. And then the third one would be always prioritize yourself first. Prioritize. No, you're number one. Everyone else is secondary.
Yes. That
It's
comes
hard. Hard
later.
practice,
It's a
but we
mental
have.
battle.
Yeah, it is. Like not like be like super selfish, but um, make yourself a priority. Put your dreams first. Don't put some guy's dream and help him get there, and then he leaves you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it no, don't do that. That's
Trust
what I did.
me, I think we've been
Oh
there a couple
man,
times.
man, oh man. I wish. Oh God. So now I and invest. If it's anything you invest in is yourself. Invest in yourself. Take lessons. Go to college. Finish your school. Be educated. Take random classes. Read a book a week.
Mm-hmm.
Study. Just invest in in knowledge because people can take your money. They can take your house. They can take your clothes, but they can never take your spirit, your faith, and they can never take your knowledge. Knowledge is power.
That is so
Yeah,
true.
yeah. Your
I
faith.
always advise people just to educate yourself all the time, because why not pour into yourself? But I love
Mhm.
all your advices because we've been there. Where can people
Yes.
find you? How can we get in touch?
Um, I hate social media, but I just made an account just for this podcast.
Okay.
Uh, Amira of Atlanta. Since I don't know, I'm probably gonna have to change the Drea name since there's like so many other artists by that name. But
Mm-hmm.
Amira of Atlanta is on IG. I think I have like 13 followers. I have no pictures.
Boost my
Um,
girl up. Follow Amira of Atlanta on Instagram, you guys.
um, that would probably be it. Email, but that's who emails these days.
Yeah, we're not doing that. No, I'm just kidding.
Email at check your you got mail. Yeah, so I made that specifically since I talked to you a couple
Hmm.
weeks ago, and so that's what I've been using.
I just love you. And I'm so grateful and thankful that you joined me on my show. I'm gonna be honest. And every time you speak, it just makes me want to ask another question or go into something else. But because we don't have that much time, I know I can't do it. And it's really crazy right now. But
Yeah,
I really want to thank you so much. Your story, your music, your poetry, just your body, everything. I love how organically this came, how we met. Everybody doesn't know how we met, but we met. And
yes,
I was definitely like, she's something. I don't know what it was, but I was like, yeah, she's something. We gotta
thank
know who
you.
she is.
I'm
So
very
I
I
love you so much.
need to
Thank
help.
you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I was really surprised because I get that a
Right?
lot.
It was random.
It was very random, and you actually followed through. And I was like, wow. I was like, I like her.
Oh yeah, I was serious. I was like, oh no, we got to get her on the show.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thank everybody for listening to a Trip to India podcast. If you have not done so already, please hit that subscribe button so you will stay up to date and meet new amazing people just like my girl Amira of Atlanta. Also, join the conversation on my Instagram page at a Trip to India podcast. And if you want to learn something specific, please email me. We still do emails at askindy at a trip, the number two, indiapodcast.com. And I'm going to see you next week. Thank you.
Yes.